My name is Joni Taylor, and I live in France, specifically in Bretagne, so kind of the northwest area of France, near the coast. And I have one child, and her name is Nina, and she's 5 years old.
I'm Abira, and I'm from Pakistan basically, but we are currently living in US because my husband is doing his PhD, and we are living here with our child, and she is 3 years old.
My name is Abdur Rab. I'm also from Pakistan. I'm living in the US. I'm doing a PhD in agricultural economics.
My name is Megan. I'm based in Brooks, Alberta in Canada. My little guy is 26 months. He turned 2 in August.
So my name is Shirin Anil, and I'm based in Melbourne. So I've been living in Australia for 5 years now. And my son, Akbar Anil, is now 18 months of age. A very, very healthy, thriving child.
Okay. My name is Shala Saibzada, and we live in Simpsonville, South Carolina, which is in the United States. I have 2 children. One is, she just turned 11 this week, and one is 5 years old. And so one is in 4th grade and the other is in kindergarten. I'm the one who makes the decision of what everybody eats in the household. And I do the grocery shopping and I do the cooking, and if they were to eat nutritious food or if it was junk food, all those decisions are mine.
Okay.
So my primary concern is the food that they consume should be nutritious, and they should have like something from each food group. And so when I go grocery shopping, I make sure we buy vegetables, we buy fruits, and there's some kind of dairy product. They had cow's milk protein allergy when they were babies up until age 3. So they're not very fond of having dairy products. But I've recently discovered that cheese is something that they have. So we use some cheese products. And when I'm preparing their food, I use a divided plate so that they don't like their food mixed. So each section I put a different thing for them. So for my daughter, she does not like to mix 2 things. So if it's toast or cheese, they have to be given to her separately because she's very fussy that way. So the divided plates work the best for us. So they have a fruit in it, and then a vegetable, and then they have protein and some carbohydrate. Every day is not like ideal day. They are kids and very fussy in what they eat, but that is what I try to do, to give them, the aim is to give them nutritious food, but something that they would be willing to eat too. Ideally, I want them to know about different food groups and try and include all of them, and try avoid junk food, candy, because all those things would lead to obesity. And I have struggled with weight issues myself, so that's not where I want them to be. So I would
it's predominantly me, because mother is more involved in child's feeding habits, I would say, because like, for example, from the day the child is born, mother is too close to the child for breastfeeding. And when it comes to a 6 months mark, you get excited that okay, you're going to feed him different stuff now. So most predominantly me, but my husband is also involved in a lot of decisions, like for example, which fruits or vegetables to choose for him, or for example, which meat to bring from the market, or for example, like we are very conscious about that, how many days he's taking vegetables, how many days he's taking meat and chicken and things like that. So I think that both of us are equally involved, because we discuss a lot about his food, because like when a child starts eating, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for the parents. And each and every moment is so precious. Like, for example, will he take mash when he went to start, a little solids? And well, we actually gave Akbar autonomy as well. So it's not that child is not autonomous at all. We have to have the cues of the child as well. That's important, that what foods he's liking, what textures he's liking, what taste he's liking. So actually, whatever you feed him, it's totally dependent on the child. Like for us, it was a child leading thing as well. Have you read about 100 foods before one? So we did majority of those foods, and that actually led to our decision to what to give him and what to not, based on his liking or dislikes. So, for example, we read a lot about that. What's actually the main reason for giving them food till 1 or after 1? Because he's still on breastfeeding. So breastfeeding, as you know, that it still fulfills their 32% of the nutrition till 2 years of age. So what's the reason of giving them different food, right? And that informs that how to use the criteria for giving them food. For example, the main reason for giving them food from till 1 or till 2 years of age is basically meeting their iron requirements. So that's the top on our list of criteria to choose food. And then second is to give him a variety of food so that he can actually get accustomed to different textures, different smells, different taste, and pretty much we let him actually play with food all the time.
Well, I work full time, so during the day he's at the day home. So when I'm with him, it's mostly me, actually, and then me or my partner. And then we have a couple of friends that live with us, so then it just depends who cooks what's available. And then at the day home, they feed him a snack and a meal.
Decide herself what she wants to eat, because she's very picky, and if I try to give her something healthy, she basically says, I don't want healthy food, I don't like healthy food.
She knows the term healthy, and she knows that fruits are healthy,
Yeah.
but she actually do enjoy eating lots of fruits, different fruits.
Yeah, she likes fruits, but I feel like she doesn't like vegetables except peas, corn, and what else does she eat? Boiled carrots. Sometimes she eats carrots. I try to keep that in mind, that I should be giving her more nutrition, but depending on her mood and nature.
As far as the decision is concerned, we both discuss a lot.
Yeah.
So since this is our only child at the moment, so we are focusing all our energies together. So I remember that I have a huge family. I have like 8 siblings. We are 8 siblings. So our parents were not really as concerned as we are. I think that's probably just the demographic of the family.
Yeah.
So we both discuss with each other.
Yeah.
So in last couple of months, we were worried that she wasn't eating a lot.
Yeah.
So she would only eat a little bit. So we had a discussion with each other, and I came up with this idea that maybe it's the presentation of the food that's put in for her. So what if we just try and have like a Elsa-shaped plate or something, like frozen themed plate, and then whatever food, Bira is in charge of cooking the food. So whatever she's cooking, she can just sprinkle some, what are the green? Parsley or something red, or like green beans, something with it. And we tried that almost a couple of months back, and it worked really well.
Well, when Nina was born, we lived in the United States. She was born in Vermont, and in that community, it was very supportive of mothers' choices to, if a mother wanted to breastfeed their child or not. And I was lucky in that Nina, it was easy for me to breastfeed her. She latched on right away. I never had a problem. So it was something that was easy for me. It was not only something that I felt would help her, health-wise. It would, I would pass on to her different things from me, but I also felt it was something that I could control, in the sense that I knew what I was putting in my body. So I kind of knew what she was getting from me. And she only drinks water at dinner. And at school, they have a very healthy, balanced lunch. It's, they have their entree, their little plate, and she might have some kind of salad, and then she's got her main course, and then she's got a dessert with a little piece of bread and a cheese. And we're very lucky that the school, she goes to a public school here, and they have a very healthy, balanced menu, and they pay attention to what the kids are eating. So yeah, but we really, in France, food's important because it's what brings you together around the table with your family, and you take time to have a meal so that you're not rushing, so that you're not having to go and grab something on the go and not maybe eat what you really want to be putting in your body. So yeah, that's kind of where we are at 5. Is I think she eats really well for a 5-year-old.
Before our friends moved in, I did pretty much all the grocery shopping, and he would come. Anything in a package, he wasn't necessarily really sure what it was, but certainly down the fruit and vegetable aisle, he would always want fruits, and then sometimes he'd eat fruits as we were going around the grocery store. Now our friends generally do the grocery shopping, but when I'm cooking, he started to get more involved. So for example, if I'm cracking eggs, he'll help crack the eggs. One thing that we've had to be a bit aware of is spice levels, because my partner likes things very spicy, and so for a while I was cooking pretty spicy. And I have always offered him things with spices and flavor when I do offer him food, but I try to make it not too spicy because
Nina does go to the market or the grocery store with us. So we live in a more rural area, a small village with maybe 2,000 people. But if you drive 15-20 minutes away, it's a larger city. And we're lucky because there are markets that are almost daily. The big ones are usually maybe Wednesdays and Saturdays near where we live. And there are some farms that have permanent storefronts. So you can go, we can go 10 minutes away, and there's the farm with the storefront. You go in, and they've got all of their vegetables from the farm. They've got a freezer with the meat from maybe a partner farm, and you can buy things that way. Nina comes with us when we do that. She sees it. We talk about the food. We have a garden, so she knows, hey, she planted the radishes this summer, and she watched me plant the tomato plants, and she knows, this is what we need to do to set this up. And it's important that we have conversations with Nina about growing our own food, because it's a green bean plant, but it's a plant, and she gets to see the results and eat the results. And so that helps when we talk about waste, because there are times when, we'll put something on our plate and she doesn't want to try it. And we say, you should at least try it. Or times when she asks for a lot and doesn't eat any of it. And we explain, someone worked hard to grow this. Or
actually, during preparing, I don't want her to, because I'm afraid that I'm cooking it near the heat, and I'm using knives and things. So I try to keep her away from that. But during purchasing, yes, I involve her. I ask her what she wants to eat, what kind of fruit does she want to eat, what shape of pasta does she like, and yeah.
And she enjoys grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Shamin enjoys grocery shopping. And she also likes to be involved in cooking as well. So she helps Abira in washing dishes and all that. She tries her best,
Pre-pandemic, we did do a lot of grocery shopping, and my younger one would be with me on most of our grocery trips. And now during the pandemic, I use an online, it's delivered to me. So they sometimes, when I'm ordering it in their home, I ask them what they want, and we add those items to the cart. But otherwise, mostly I know what they like, so I just get those things. Whereas in the food cooking process, the only thing that they like to do is baking. So they can, we rarely bake, but when we bake, it is them that my daughter, who's the older one, she likes to make cookies, brownies. Those are the things that she wants to eat. the aisles that have cereals, the aisles that have crisps, chips like Doritos and all the junk food, those were the aisles that they wanted to go to. And it was very, so I would, if my son went with me, I would have to get him one thing that he would have to share with his sister. And it's usually at the checkout counter, but that was our thing, that he couldn't get a big packet of whatever junk food he wanted. But they have the smaller ones, like when you're checking out, so he could get one and then he would share it with the sister.
Very much. So as much as the lockdowns have given us the chance to take him to groceries, because we were not given as much as opportunity we would have liked because of this pandemic. But whenever we got a chance, we took him to the grocery, and, you know, like I would pick up the vegetables and fruits with him and say, okay, this is apple, this is banana, this is, you know, avocado, or this is grapes. And he would actually very interestingly look at it, and, you know, he would point, okay, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then I would pick according to his choices or the colors that are attracting him. Actually involved in preparation of the food as well, that when I'm making, for example, scrambled eggs, he would just whisk the egg with me. And then he would say, okay, I want to whisk. And then he would, you know, say that, okay, what it is doing, whisker is doing tuck, 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 tuck. So he's like involved in a playful manner as well.
I think when she was very little, we were like hyper vigilant about what goes into her body. And since she was so small and it was her first time, we were living in Islamabad, as you remember. And our families were living back in Multan, so we didn't have any support of that kind. Like we didn't have that institutional knowledge, if you like. So we were just doing a lot of research, and we were looking at her, like what her digestion system should be all right. She doesn't get any gas or anything. So we were consulting Google a lot in the first couple of months, like 6-7 months.
Yeah, watching videos and reading.
Watching videos, and then I got my scholarship. Then I had to move back to Multan for a couple of months. So I stayed with my family. So that's where we received a lot of advice. For instance, the advice predominantly was that, okay, just give her what you eat. So don't get her accustomed to some things that not really a daily routine for you guys, right? So that's where we introduced chapati to her, and it worked really well. She really enjoyed paratha, so people like a paratha. And then my mother would give her different sorts of fruits, and that's where she extended her palate on her own, and she started enjoying lots of food, because before that she were and then when we came over here, and now if something bad happens with her, like if something wrong, if she gets constipated, or if she's having a gastro infection or something of that kind, then we call back home. So Bira's mother, she's also very good with kids. And so she comes up with lots of ideas. Okay, we could use those cumin, what's that?
Mint.
No, fennel?
Fennel.
Yeah, fennel?
Yeah, fennel.
Okay, fennel seed water or something, I don't know.
It's actually a herbal tea with fennel seeds, mint, and what else? Cardamom.
Cardamom, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do consult our parents and internet a lot, of course. So yeah.
Yeah, but the only thing that mother says, because she's 3.5, so she says that while you're cooking different foods for her, you should be giving her what you're eating. And that's better for the child, because when you eat and the child sits with you and eat the same thing, then they develop that thing to like more food as compared to when you are cooking something special and giving her again and again.
So that's very interesting, because again, it's like children who are born in different cultures, they sort of, their palate gets accustomed to their traditional food, and you're living away from home. But so I'm wondering, you mentioned, like, for example, she got used to chapati when you guys were living with your family in Pakistan. So how much do you think your culture has influenced the eating habits of your child? And does being away from home, do you think it has, do you see a shift in the way her eating habits have developed?
Certainly, for the first 6 months, I guess I was advised by midwives and friends, and I was also involved in something called La Leche League. Have you heard of that?
No.
an international peer-to-peer breastfeeding support network,
Mhm.
Literally. And they encourage, plus, like the World Health Organization encourages exclusive breastfeeding up to 6 months.
Mhm.
So that's what we did the first 6 months. And then lots of people, including the Leche League, encourage baby-led weaning from 6 months. So that's what we did. And I read a book about baby-led weaning. And so again, it was a lot of just stuff we were eating anyways, and just letting him kind of play with it, pick at it, chew it, spit it out, just getting used to food, playing with food. Yeah.
Yes, when the kids were born, here you take them for a well child visit first it's monthly, and then it's, I think, every 2 months. But when they were closer at 6 months, they allowed me to give them solids. And that's when the physician, that was my primary source of information, where they told me that they should only eat home cooked foods. So we started with apples, like the apple puree, the carrot puree, those kinds of things. They sometimes ate it, sometimes didn't, but that was my primary source of information. And I did look up online. Now I do, like what they can and cannot eat, and then to make their food look more appealing and still be healthy, I use the internet for recipes and for how to read the labels on the prepackaged food, how to understand what is good and not so good for them. So,
example, the first food you were introduced, we heard, was like khichdi, which is made of which is the pudding made out of rice and sugar, and then the semolina suji, so like halwa or something like that. But our research actually told us that can be dangerous or risky if you give till 1 year of age, because say the rice fields have a lot of arsenic content, which you don't want to introduce till 1 year of age to a child. So pretty much we have refrained from giving him the khichdi or the traditional food because of that reason. But after 1, we have introduced rice as a table food that we eat, because you have to accustom children to what you are eating. So pretty much he eats whatever we eat now. But for example, those things which normally our parents would do, for example, say chapati and sugar was the one cultural thing. But we know that we don't have to give him that much sugar, though he eats chapati and he eats bread and he eats everything. But I think moderation is the way you would go for it. And also it depends on the reaction of the child. For example, he was getting constipated for certain things, so you just have to, we have to take out those things. And then I think that the greatest advice that actually best advice I would say, which our pediatrician gave us over here, was that start the allergic foods early. And I think that this is what we went by. Like we introduced him peanut butter very early, and then we introduced him, say, cashew nut butter, almond butter, so fish, so everything that, and eggs. So I think that everything that would give a child allergy at some point in time, I think that was the best decision we received, and we made, and that was the best advice we received.
I did notice this when we were in Texas. She went to a chain childcare provider center. One thing I did not like is the kids ate on paper plates every day. And so I found that to be extremely wasteful. And they weren't, Nina was seeing like, oh, I can just take this, eat off of it and throw it away. And I didn't like that. And their menu was in no way near as balanced as it is here. I mean, Nina eats things here that sometimes I think adults wouldn't eat, these vegetable salads or different things.
Absolutely. I mean, if I consider a counterfactual scenario in which we are actually living in Pakistan, with our family, I think the choices that we would make for her food would be entirely different, totally different.
Yeah, she would be eating everything that other people would be eating at home, because right now, me and Abdul, we eat some our regular food with the spices and oil. So I don't want her to give that food with oil and spices. So I make something different for her. But I think at this age, if we would be living in Pakistan, then she would be eating everything with spices and oil and everything. Yeah.
And one aspect is that we have less control over there.
Yeah.
So if
yeah.
my mother or my brother is giving her something, you probably know that, we can't be like, but here we have absolute control over what she gets to eat. But then again, the culture itself, like the environment itself, gives us different options. So back home, I'll probably not give her as many candies that I give her over here. So so the candies, and like, you know, we see that people like in schools, in preschools, the lunch menu has like jellies and those jellos in that.
Juices with a lot of sugar.
Juices with a lot of sugar, and they give it like every day, and the government gives it to the kids. So we think that probably it's not as bad as we already as we thought when we were back home. So
I think for me, culture was a very, very laid back thing, because not the traditional or the family culture, I would say, but Australian culture, because Australian culture is a very healthy food liking culture. It's like even if you go in the malls and everything, you'll get more healthy food as compared to burgers. They're like, for example, the burgers and other, you won't find that over here as compared to you'll find salad bars. So, and also that the local actually foods impacted our choice a lot. For example, avocado is a very, very much easily available food over here. And he liked avocado from the beginning, so that is actually a staple food for him, for example. And because we are living away from the family, I think that our choices were impacted by more of research and evidence and food labels rather than traditional cultural things.
It's partly, I don't know if it's laziness or partly just taking from different cultures. But so I generally like prepare food on my plate and then maybe put some for him on a little plate. But he often still will take from our plates. And then, so it's not a big deal of like, this is his food and he must eat it. Like, I don't want to put pressure on him that he must finish his meal. I want him to just eat when he's hungry. My partner's from Peru, and the friends that live with us are from Mexico. And then the day home he goes to, the lady's Colombian. So it's a lot of Latin influence. And so he's had a lot of mostly Latin influence. So for example, all of them, or mostly like my partner and the Colombian lady, eat a lot of rice, which actually, of course, comes more from Asia. But they have a lot in Peru. So he's always had lots of rice and loves rice.
I want to incorporate my community into my world, and part of my world is what I'm eating. And again, we had the resources to do that. Not everyone can, because sadly, sometimes that's more expensive, and that's a whole other conversation, is why is it so expensive to eat well? Why, here in France, we talk about this a lot. When you create a product and you want it to be organic, going through that process and getting certified organic and then sustaining it is so expensive. It's like, it's almost as if people are penalized for having an organic product. This should be the other way around. It should be, if you aren't, that's just how I feel. If you're not producing a product that can meet this criteria, then should those people be paying more? I don't know. It's just, why is it so hard to eat well? We don't watch a lot of TV. And if we do watch TV, it's probably a cooking show on Netflix. We like to watch cooking shows because and specifically dessert shows together. I think it's because of the artistry behind it. And we talk through it, oh, look what they came up with. That's a great idea. And it's not necessarily like, look at all that sugar they put in the cake, or look at all that icing. It's more of, that's so cool that they came up with that. I think Nina grew up playing with a lot of homemade Play-Doh. And so we just have this aesthetic of, the visuals, and we like to watch that. But we don't see publicities on the TV. And when we go to the grocery store, I've never had a problem with her looking at something and wanting to buy it because of how it looked.
So number one is that, so when we are going to grocery shopping, so if I'm going on, I hardly goes for grocery shopping on my own.
Yeah,
So,
only me and Shamin, we go together.
Yeah, Abira and Shamin, they are the ones who go to grocery shopping. So if I do tag along, but Shamin is going to tag along with us anyway, no matter what. So whenever we are going to Walmart, I mean, this is one of the highlights of her day if we go to Walmart or something.
Yeah.
So the problem is that when we go over there, the kids' food, that like candies and chocolates and all those sugary and fatty things that we probably want to avoid are unavoidable. So she just makes up a scene right then and there, and she wants that thing. And sometimes like we're embarrassed, we are surrounded by other people, and we are embarrassed, and we just give her something like of that sort. And that we probably wouldn't if there wasn't, like, you know, they were all available, like all that marketing and making it looking pretty. And also, like, you know, these beloved characters, she really likes Elsa from Frozen. So if she sees it on a juice bottle or on a candy packet, she'd be like,
yeah, I want this candy with Elsa.
And there is no negotiations about that. So if we don't give her that, she'll probably not eat for like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, and also one other thing that I feel like I think we are living in 2021, and everywhere we go, we see Coke, and she's only 3.5. We definitely don't want to give her Coke. But she keeps asking for Coke. So one thing that I have figured that I fill her sippy cup almost 2/3 of it with water, and then I add a few sips of Coke in that, and then she drinks that thinking that she is drinking Coke. Yeah.
So this like whole capitalist approach in the grocery shop, and that's one of the key challenges that we have when we are deciding on the food choices of Shami. Since she doesn't go to a daycare or a school yet, so she stays in house, and one of her favorite pastime is to look at those YouTube channels. Like kids have made channels for the kids. So within those channels, so whatever those kids are eating, so this is what that she would. And one of the positive things that came out of it was the concept of healthy food versus the unhealthy food. So we never got the chance to explain it to her, but through the YouTube, she now knows, okay, broccoli is not really liked, but it is healthy food, so you're supposed to eat it. She knows that. And she knows that fruits are healthy, and she knows that whenever she's going to go to school, she'll have fruits in her lunchbox because they are healthy.
Yeah.
So she understands that concept. But on the other hand, through those video channels, she also got to know about different sorts of candies and chocolate bars and all that, and jellies, and she really wants to have them. So yeah, this is like a bittersweet sort of.
Also, whenever I go to the grocery store, I show her different fruits, and I ask her what kind of fruit do you want to eat, and she look at all the fruits, and then she tells if she wants grapes or strawberries or apples.
So
it makes it more exciting to buy that fruit and then go home and eat that food.
And our idea is that if we let her decide, she will take the ownership. She would probably go through with it like more. If we just impose something on her, it's not going to work. And particularly for Shamin, it's not going to work, because she would, if she says no, it makes it really hard for us to convince her otherwise. Very hard.
Oh yeah, she has a friend, and whenever she is eating something, she asks me, does she eat this food too? And I tell her yes, she does, and she likes it. So she starts eating that, thinking that this is the food that kids like. Or I think this has an impact on her eating habits.
Mostly just kind of lack of energy to make sure we have fruit and slice it up, prepare it. And at some point, when I was off, before he turned 1, I wasn't really working, and so then also just like being aware of a budget, and so sometimes a lot of like fresh fruits and vegetables are expensive. So lack of energy, and then sometimes just his preferences, like he doesn't want to eat a banana, he wants to eat crackers or a cookie or chips. And then also if I'm feeling like, I come home from work and I want to eat a piece of chocolate, then it's hard to do that without him noticing. So then he's going to want that too. Hasn't been too bad, because for the most part, if we watch TV, we watch Netflix, and there aren't ads. And We definitely have some junk food in the house, but not as much as you like. I certainly have seen some friends with more, so that's not so bad. Partly because my partner doesn't really like a lot of it. He didn't grow up with a lot of it, and then I just try to avoid buying it for myself, so that helps. And then I think maybe because we don't have a lot of it, my kid isn't necessarily aware what it is. So again, if we go down the cookie aisle at the grocery store, he doesn't necessarily know what a lot of these things are. So that's when he's older, he will. So that's helpful for now. He just doesn't know, so he doesn't know to ask for it or that he wants it.
My concern is the amount of chemical content in the food, and a lot of I try and buy everything like the produce organic, because as much as I've studied about it or read about it, food that is produced on the organic farms are not sprayed as much or are not sprayed at all. So I feel that would be a safer option. And the other, like prepackaged food in the United States, the way the Food and Drug Organization, they don't have the higher standards like the European Union. So I feel that the chemical content, the preservatives, things that have been used in baby food, or things that are more appealing to younger kids, would have higher chemical content. So we try and, even in the prepackaged foods, I look for things that say organic. I don't know how organic it's going to be. Like 10 years from today, there'll be studies out there, but those are the food choices I try and make for them so that they eat healthier food. So as far as social media and YouTube and all those things are concerned, their gadgets have gadget time, and what the content they watch is controlled by me. So we haven't experienced the advertisement part of it because they don't get to see those advertisements on TV. But as far as friends are concerned, yes, the peer pressure of, like, my little one has just started going to like a full day school where they eat at school. And so somebody will have M&Ms in his lunch, somebody will have Oreos. And as per school policy, they're not supposed to bring those in. But of course, other kids do. And then he wants them in his lunch box too. And so, yes, that does impact him, like his food choices that he's going to make. Not that he doesn't eat those things. We just give them as treats or limit it like to once a day, not have it every meal time.
And it's not advertisement, but what we eat, like as parents, because we sometimes bring like burgers and things like that. So as you know, like, and in one of his channels, a cartoon character is eating pizza. So he is actually eating pizza as well, but we try to give him the healthier part of pizzas, like for example, bread or olives. So he has become fond of olives because of the pizza. So actually we try to give it a positive outlook. For example, in burger, he eats the bun, but then we have actually brought a healthy bun for him, which we have, you know, compare the labels. Okay, this is the bun or the food choice that we want to have. So we have the alternate things available when we eat such things, so that he's not feeling left out and you are giving such things to him. So I think that we were lucky in a sense that the poems that he used to see or the education programs that he is seeing are all offering very healthy food item, like for example, vegetables and fruits. Like in Sesame Street, he likes a program where I think it was Elmo was talking to a friend and they were munching fruits and vegetables, and actually he tells me that, num 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 num, from that I want to eat fruit and vegetables. And then in Cocomelon, he has a character called JJ, and his mother is serving him, say, carrots or beans or peas, and at the time when we are feeding him, or that song is coming, he would say to us, peas, broccoli. So he wants everything on his plate. So I think that yes, that does affect. But we are lucky in a way that he has been exposed to the educational things which have very healthy food items. And now as well, he's like become fond of grapes just because one of his character Blippy is eating grapes at some farm. So I think that actually attracts kids a lot, and they develop those eating habits very easily.
Have to kind of think about where you are. So where I am and where I was is going to be different for other people. But in the long run, I try to think about how is what I offer her to put in her body now going to impact her in 5 years and 10 years. And if I'm not exposing her to, fruits and vegetables and things that aren't just yellow and orange, how is that going to impact her? Maybe we can't afford organic meat or something, but maybe we can have a conversation about food waste and why it's important that we don't take so much and then throw everything away. And
really, I wouldn't feel comfortable in giving advice because we are probably not doing a great job as if we look at the standards of food, kids' food. So we give her about almost everything. So people, so we are actually afraid that people might judge us. So we are giving
I think the only advice I will give to other parents would be, as long as your child is eating something, just don't feel bad that your child is not eating healthy. I think your first priority should be to feed your kid. I mean, there should be something going inside her stomach rather than eating only healthy food. Because I had to go through that stage when she was not eating anything at all. She didn't started eating anything until she was 2, and I was very worried about it. But then she started eating after she was 2. So I was worried for 1 whole year, like from when she was 1 until she was 2. But after that she started eating. So I think this is the only thing that I feel like if your child is not eating, then you shouldn't be worried about it. Their time would come. Or
don't be really afraid of it. Like, say if she skips a meal or something, it's okay. So another thing that I'll probably give an advice is that if you let the child know that this is something that you want as a parent, that you want them to eat something, it becomes very hard for them to own it, basically. So you will have to make it that, okay, food is your pleasure. Okay, you're not doing us a favor doing this. So if you want this point to come across to them, you probably if sometimes they're not eating something, you just leave them be. Don't be really pushy on it. So even so if you become pushy, and if they want to eat food, and if you're being too forceful on that, and you're saying, okay, please do that, and then they'll probably not own it up at all. So we have witnessed, we have experienced it with Charmin that sometimes when she's been hard on not eating food, I would request Abira to just let it be for a couple of hours. And whenever she will become really hungry, she'll just come up and eat food on her own. Otherwise, they become even more pickier, So if you are being really nice with them and then making sure you eat it, and you're doing that, they are doing you a favor, then this doesn't really work.
I would like to say that for them not to have the food you don't want them to have, don't keep it in the house, because if it's there, they would want to have it. And then give them healthier options, like for snacking, give them fruit. For after car pickup from school, when they're hungry, take only the food that you would want them to have, because they're hungry, then they'll eat it. If you give them prepackaged food, then that is what they would eat. So to encourage healthier habits, have apple or carrots, those kinds of things, or whatever the children would like to eat.
Well, I would just say that, we have enjoyed the baby-led weaning a lot. And don't stress about anything at all. Go with the flow, whatever your child likes, what he dislikes. Yes, you have to be cautious about their choking hazards. But other than that, just introduce everything and anything, and just be easy. I think that as much as parents are relaxed, I think children are have more connection to the food as well.
Well, just one more thing. There's a book called Our Babies Ourselves, and it looks at kind of cultural practices of raising children around the world, and certainly about eating. It combines just kind of like anthropological awareness and also like research studies. And it says there was a research study done, I think it was maybe in the US, and it was like maybe in like the 50s. It's something that could never be repeated because it was quite unethical, but it was in like an orphanage. And it was something like, I don't remember the exact details, but something like they offered kids the same, maybe like 10 foods at every meal, and they could eat as much of any of those 10 foods as they wanted. And what they found was kids would go through phases. So like one day a kid might eat like 6 boiled eggs. The next day they might have like 4 bananas. It was one of those things, like as a parent, I would generally never offer my kid 4 bananas in a day. But what they're like, actually, if you just let kids follow, you know, as long as you're not offering them a bunch of like ice cream and candy and chocolate, if you just let kids follow what they are craving, it's probably what their body needs. A bit relaxed about it, you know, like one day your kid might love olives and the next day they hate olives, and one day they want to eat 10 and the next day they're not interested. And it's a bit stressful if you're cooking specifically for our kids and one day they won't eat it, you know, but as much as possible, yeah, if we can just kind of be relaxed about it and trust them, you know, that when they're full and whatever,